Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Anthros Campbell. Our focus this week is on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with standards for goods and services. And in studio is Lorice Edwards-Brown, Chief Executive Officer of the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, the NCRA. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us about the NCRA. What's your role and function? You used to be a part of the Bureau of Standards, right? And now you're an entity, you're a sole entity. Talk to us about your role and function.
The NCRA is standing on the shoulders of a giant, the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. Since 2016, we are being empowered to carry out the regulatory functions, which normally would have been executed by the regulatory division of the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. Our mandate is to ensure safety, health and safety of goods and products that are offered to the public. And we do this by looking at our different programs, inspection, monitoring, and enforcement programs.
Yes. Why was it necessary, though, for you to be separated from the Bureau of Standards? Why was that necessary?
Simply answer, we say judge and jury. The Bureau of Standards, by the way in which it was functioning for, Bureau of Standards celebrating 50 years this year, we've had to change the way in how we operate. And coming out of a review of the nation and how we are responding to the needs of the World Trade Organization and trade facilitation, and also the cry of our local manufacturing entities, where the Bureau would go and do the inspections and then carry out the enforcement action, it slowed the pace at which the Bureau itself could help entities to maximize their potential in businesses. So then came the National Compliance Regulatory Authority, the NCRA, and our role and function is to monitor, to inspect, and to enforce the standards.
So talk to me about your resources. How equipped are you to carry out these functions?
We believe that as a regulator, none will say that they are totally fully equipped, but we manage with what we have by using our capable staff. We are about 55 members of staff strong, competent team. We're excited to make sure that the goods and services that are offered to the public, they are in compliance with the standards. We're located in 4 areas across the island plus Kingston. We're in Lorice, Montego Bay, Savlamar, and we're also in Mandeville, and we're at office in Kingston and Hope Road.
With 55 persons.
With 55 persons in total.
Yes, yes. Not a bad number. Were you always that strong, or you've been recruiting people over?
We intend to recruit more as time goes by, but we intend also to get more efficient at what we do and to get more technologically savvy. We want to go out there and we're several programs that we're using now, risk management programs, and we believe that if we use more of these programs and so on, then the people element will always be there, but we'll also be able to maximize our efficiencies, balancing the technology with the human element.
Well, talk to us about the monitoring process now.
Sure.
Yeah, how's it done, and where does it start? Where do you go, and where do you decide when you're going where?
Monitoring is exciting because we are people that we also use the goods that we are inspecting. Our families use it. We know that children use it, and the families in Jamaica, they're using it as well. So health and safety is paramount in our minds at all times. So if we look at something like the food process establishments, we look at products that are packaged for consumers. Our inspectors are in the food establishments. We check, we do the registration checks, we make sure that the systems and the processes and the end product, the goods that are placed on the marketplace, that they're really safe for consumption. And we do this by the physical checks in there. We take samples of the product as well. We do analysis of the test results and so on. And that's just one of our areas that we look at.
But what other areas do you look at?
We have other areas. For example, I'll tell you a bit about legal metrology. Okay. And it is an area where persons sometimes confuse metrology. Wow, what is that? Is it confused with weather, meteorology? Right. But it is about weights and measures. ensuring that you get what you pay for, and also that businesses also they are operating fairly and that they too are getting what are dispensing what consumers are paying for. So it works both for the consumers and it works for the businesses as well. We also have our domestic market and our import market checks, and because we're also at the ports and we're also in what we term the domestic market. That is where we go to the wholesale, the retail shops, the stores, the pharmacies, and we will look based on the labeling standards, labeling regulations, try to ensure that the products that are there are within the specifications of the legislation and of the labeling of the standards.
Well, how receptive are these entities to your coming to check their products?
Generally speaking, they are receptive. But we know that with every situation there are exceptions, and we do find that from time to time we may have entities that are not as receptive as we would like them to be at the onset. But eventually, when we explain to them, we find that persons were resisting probably because they did not know of the thoroughness of the laws that exist for them in the industry in which they operate. So generally there is little or no pushback, and there are time to time that we do have to encourage persons to be responsive, and then eventually we get the compliance.
So do you have a schedule, so you go here today and you won't go back until probably 3 months' time, or do you have a kind of a schedule?
Our program is set based on risk management. So there is no specific scheduling of all the programs that we do. We do routine checks and we do random checks as well. There are some programs where we'll carry out a check perhaps every 6 months. And also based on how we do a risk categorization, we may need to go back to an entity maybe once, twice per month, 3 times per month, but it depends on where you are when we analyze the risks that are involved.
Tell me what you look for. For example, you do monitoring of petrol stations. Tell me what you look for. What do you look for?
For the petrol stations, we look at the pumps. Is it that the pumps are dispensing? What is it that you're paying for? So our people were accustomed to buying, say, $2,000 worth of whatever petrol product that we use. So there is always the unseen hand there, because you wouldn't perhaps see us in operations when we're there to make sure that what is it that you're paying for, you're actually getting. So we'll check the pumps. Is it dispensing accurately? And is it quality of the product that you're buying, whatever petroleum product it is the quality within the specification? So those are some of the things that we'll do at the petrol stations.
Do you check labels as well and weight for food stuff?
Certainly.
Because sometimes I go to the supermarket and I see things that I can't read anything on it.
Yes, that is true. But when we look at labels, there is also the responsibility that we're asking the consumers to partner with us. We know that there are certain things that you perhaps won't know beyond the labels, and we appreciate that. But we ask you to partner with us. Look at the labels. Did the label tell you where the product was made? Who is distributing the product? How do you care for it? Did you tell you the content, the ingredients?
And then we can make a suggestion to you. We can tell you where we saw these products and so on.
We'd love for you to do that. If it is that you're not sure, give us a call, 926-314-025. And we welcome your suggestions on how we can serve you better.
Okay. Let's take the break here and continue with what happens when a product or service is below the approved standard level. Stay with us.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity, to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. In the previous segment, the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, NCRA, took us through the monitoring process of products and services to ensure compliance to standards. We continue the conversation now with the Chief Executive Officer, Lorice Edwards-Brown, looking at the area of enforcement. But before that, we're talking about monitoring. Tell me about your monitoring function at the ports.
At the ports, our main focus is looking at goods that are coming in to see if the goods are in compliance with the standards of the country. So there is a program, for instance, that we have been engaged in since 2017, and it involves a sampling of petroleum products that are coming into the island. And since then, what we do, all the petroleum products that are coming in, we ensure that we inspect. We take samples, and these samples are sent to an accredited lab, and then we do the analysis. And these products, petroleum products, are not released to the marketplace until they receive a certificate of quality from us, which gives the assurance that they meet the specification.
Yes. That is interesting, because that means we won't have a repeat of the whole bad gas scenario that happened some months ago. It should help.
We're trying to ensure that we seek to mitigate the risks that are there.
Right. What happens to other goods now that you identify as substandard or, below par? What happens to those?
From time to time, we find goods that are not in compliance with the standard, and there are times when these products can what we call rehabilitated, meaning that the goods may be able to, the importer may be able to work on them and bring them within specification. For example, if it's a labeling breach, they can adjust the labeling and make sure that it is within compliance. Other times, we have to detain the products. We seize, we withdraw from the shelves, and there are times when, based on the risks involved, we must go to destruction. Because if the risk is speaking to the health and safety, then we go to destruction. And this involves ensuring that an independent observer is there, the JP is there, the importer is there, to make sure that the products do not re-enter the marketplace in some other location. So it is. It's a thorough process.
Okay. So what are some of the main products and services that you find are mostly in breach of your standard and regulations?
At this point in time, and in recent times, we cannot pick any single product that is most often in breach. We find that from time to time, one particular area, one particular industry, there are things that will pop up from time to time, but we believe that is based on our intervention and our programs that we have embarked on, that we find that compliance is strengthening.
Good.
And we applaud the efforts of our inspectors and the support team. Who are very vigilant in ensuring that our inspection program is very robust.
Right. So what do you do with offenders?
Offenders, our legislation allows us to go to the extreme where we may take persons to the court. There are fines that are levied from time to time, and of course the proprietors will feel it in their pockets too when their products are destroyed, detained, or withdrawn from the shelves. So it's part and parcel of the package that is ruled out based on the risk assessment of the proprietor and the entity and the product. So we have a range of enforcement measures that we may carry out from time to time.
So when you identify someone who is in breach, would you right away, you would not take them to the court right away? What kind of help, what kind of service is there for these persons or entities?
Our first approach is never to go to the extreme. We try to work with our clients to make sure that the health and safety is on the forefront of everyone's mind. So is it that the product can be fixed? Is it that you must recall the product? Is it that the product must be destroyed? And we go through that assessment, and based on the risks that are involved, then an enforcement measure will be executed. And so we find that by engaging our clients more, we find that the compliance levels have gone up.
So do you provide any kind of training?
Certainly we do. We do have a program called Compliance Connect. And what we have been doing is going across the island, and we seek to offer more sensitization, more training to our proprietors, and we welcome them to also to say to us what are some of these areas that you have challenges with, because we collaborate with other agencies, the Bureau of Standards, you know, for their training unit, because it may be that there are some specific challenges that you're having, and we can assist you by pointing you in the right direction. But as an entity on our own, we do carry out sensitization training for our clients.
And how does the NCRA enforce compliance of the standards and regulations?
Well, we look to the monitoring, we look to the registration program, we look to the risk programs that we roll out. We ensure that the staff are also knowledgeable and competent and excited to go to work, and with a healthy mix of investors who also want to maintain their businesses and to continue to offer products to the public. We find that the compliance is there, and we work to strengthen the regime for all persons to be satisfied.
Right. So your agency is like 3 years old, right?
Yes,
are you finding that it is getting better each year? People are more compliant?
Generally speaking, people are more, but there are pockets though where we need to make some more intervention, and we're working on that with our programs that we continue to roll out and continue to sensitize the proprietors on.
Yes. Can consumers make reports to you, and if so, how?
As consumers, we want you to tell us where is it that you see challenges. From time to time, persons will come to us and they will say things. We will investigate. But if it is that you want redress, we also encourage you to contact the Consumers Affairs Commission. But if you're in doubt, if you're going to be buying a product, if you're going to say buy a block, because we do inspect for building blocks, and you're not sure whether or not this product meets the standard specification, call us 926-3140, and we'll be able to assist you as best as possible.
All right, what about your website?
We're working on our website. We hope that by the end of October we'll be able to roll out ncra.org.jm.
Thank you so very much for sharing with us today on Get the Facts. This has been Get the Facts with our guest, Lorice Edwards-Brown, Chief Executive Officer of the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, the NCRA. To watch this program again, log on to our social media handle, YouTube/WatchJIS, and stay connected via our website at jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Rose Campbell. Take care.